Hey there, Georgia TSA. My name is Cade Smith, and I have the honor of serving as your 2024-2025 State President. Every chapter needs an officer team, but it may be difficult knowing where to start. In this episode of Chapter Chats, we're going to take a look at the traditional TSA officer positions, as well as how to elect your very own officers. Let's get started. Chapter officers are incredibly important, as they serve as leaders, representatives, and role models for a chapter. When starting a chapter, you may find yourself asking, what kind of officer positions should I have? And what should they do? Well, we're going to take a look at the answer to this question, starting with the president. The symbol of the president's office is the gavel. The typical role of a chapter president is to set expectations for the officer team, manage team conflict, uplift and motivate members, and establish a clear vision for the chapter. In short, the chapter president leads the officer team and encourages the chapter to meet a set of goals. The symbol of the first vice president's office is the five-pointed star. The typical role of a chapter first vice president is to recruit members and lead the chapter and officer team when the president is unable to. The first vice president's role is crucial in ensuring that your chapter stays alive and growing. The symbol of the second vice president's office is the four-pointed star. High school chapters may choose to create the position of the second vice president, whose typical roles are to help establish and mentor a local middle school chapter, ensure their needs are addressed, and work closely with newer members. The role of the second vice president is crucial in establishing interest early, helping make sure your chapter's membership stays strong. The symbol of the secretary's office is the pen. The typical role of a chapter secretary is to take notes during all chapter meetings and officer meetings, keep record of all chapter activities, and keep all chapter forms organized. A chapter secretary helps keep your chapter orderly and ensures everybody is on the same page. The symbol of the treasurer is the balanced budget. It is the duty of the treasurer to organize fundraising events and work closely with the advisor to ensure financial goals are met. For a chapter to accomplish all it wants to accomplish, it's going to need the money to get there. So this is why having a chapter treasurer is so important. The symbol of the reporter's office is the beacon tower. The typical role for a chapter reporter is to operate all social media pages, establish online connections with other chapters, and work closely with your advisor to communicate important announcements and information through social media. Networking your chapter and keeping your members updated through social media is key, so make sure you have a reporter on your officer team. Finally, the symbol of the Sergeant-at-Arms office is the hearty handshake. The typical role of a Sergeant-at-Arms is to facilitate all chapter meetings and officer meetings, as well as ensure all members are comfortable and their needs are taken care of. A Sergeant-at-Arms is crucial in ensuring all meetings run smoothly. Now, let's get into how you can elect your very own chapter officer team. There are a lot of different methods to elect chapter officers, but the most common include applications, interviews, and campaigning. Here I've invited Jace Lee, president of Peachtree Ridge High School TSA, to come and talk about how his chapter utilizes these methods to craft the perfect officer team. Hey Jace.
Hey Cade. At Peachtree Ridge, our officer selection process has 3 different stages. Stage 1, Google Form. This is basically an interest form that also has some basic questions on it, like why do you want to be an officer? Or what is your favorite TSA event? We use these questions to sort through the serious applications and see who should move on to Stage 2. The next stage is the interview. Candidates come in and are interviewed by the president and our advisor, Mr. Fisha. The point of the interview is to get to know the candidates more, have them elaborate on their form responses, see their goals as a leader in TSA, and evaluate their critical thinking skills. Then the best candidates move on to Stage 3, campaigning. Candidates are required to make a presentation or video advertising themselves to the whole club. Normally, these videos are very silly, but incorporate serious elements of the candidate's goals or qualifications. Then everybody votes in a Google form for the 3 candidates that they like the best. After the vote is tallied, the officers get together and conduct a holistic review of the candidates. Of course, some candidates are better in some areas than others, but ultimately this ends up creating an officer team who is all committed and has different strengths to balance each other out. Well, that's all for me. I hope this helps you guys with your own officer selections. Back to you, Cade.
Thank you so much, Jace. Peachtree Ridge is a great example of a chapter who has a solid elections process. That about wraps it up for this episode of Chapter Chats. I encourage you all to take what you've learned in this video and apply it to your chapters to craft the perfect officer team. If you have any further questions on the topic of chapter officers, feel free to reach out. You can find me at this email. Strive to lead, lead to succeed, and we'll see you in the next chat.